Hey folks, JT from Living Analog here. So I recently got this 1989 Fender Squier II P-Bass. When I got in to look at the wiring, it turned out to be just a huge mess. A lot of this was just kind of placed together and wrapped together, like the wires were just kind of, nothing was soldered hardly. So what we're going to do is completely rewire this. Both pots sound okay. This one right here is, the pole piece is broken, so I'm going to use just another 250K pot that I had laying around for the tone pot. And we're just going to completely rewire it. Alright, as you can see here, we have good resistance coming from this P-Bass pickup, 14.6. That's a pretty good reading. Like I said, when I had this thing plugged in, it sounded pretty good. Alright, so first things first, we're going to just rip all of this out, all this wiring. This tone pot's going to come out as well. Most of this isn't soldered together, so there's nothing much to see. I'm not going to really film that. We are going to save this capacitor right here. Alright, so we got everything pulled out. First we'll start with the input jack. This is a cheap, crappy one from China, but it works and it wasn't noisy, so we're going to keep using it. First things first, when you wire an input jack, the way these work is you're always going to have the ground going to this top ring that's on top, and then the ring in the middle. So it's this ring right here that's in the middle where this post is coming out. That's going to be your hot lead. So that's pretty much always going to be the case whenever you wire these input jacks. This one is, like I said, it's kind of messy, but we're just going to roll with it since it's already here. So we're going to just kind of clean up the solder joint. Okay, since we started with the input jack, we have the input jack in place. So we're going to go ahead and wire that in. The live wire, which again is the wire that goes to the middle ring, which is this post right here. It's probably a little hard to see. Is going to go to this middle tine on the volume pot, and we'll call that the number 2 tine, and we'll number it 1, 2, 3 going that way, so it's going to go to that tine right there. And then the ground wire, which again it comes from this top ring post. So the ring that you see on the top from the inside of the cavity, that post is where the ground wire comes from, and we're going to ground that to the top of this tone pot that I just put in. Okay, we have the input jack all wired in. The next step is we're going to start grounding the rest of it. So we have this tine number 1 on the volume pot. It's going to be grounded to the top. In this case, we're doing this with a little piece of wire because just bending it over and grounding it probably isn't going to work too well. We are also going to ground the bridge to the top of the volume pot, and the ground wire from the pickup is going to the top of the volume pot. So we're doing this all at once. We're going to make one big pool of solder, and they're all going to be soldered to the same spot. Alright, next we're going to take this capacitor and we're going to solder it to this middle tine of the tone pot and then ground it to the top. Alright, next we're going to take this very short length of wire and we're going to connect this tine to this tine. So basically counting from here 1, 2, 3, the third tine on the tone pot, and over here 1, 2, 3 to the third tine on the volume pot. So this basically connects the volume to the tone. And while we connect the other end of this connector wire, we're going to go ahead and put the live wire, the red wire, from the pickup into this same third tine on the volume pot. Alright, so there we have it. We are 100% wired up and rewired. One thing it's good to do is kind of give these connections a little bit of a tug just to make sure they're secure. If you tug them and they're fine, then likely there's never going to be any problem. Alright, one thing I do like to do before I finish up is to hit all these electronics with this electrostatic cleaner. You can get this at Home Depot or anywhere else that has a electronic section. Once you do that, you're going to want to turn the knobs. Kind of work out any mess. If you have like crackling pots or any kind of noisy pots, this will absolutely take care of it. Back when I was restoring cars, I used to use this on electronic parts of cars, and it worked really good. Best way to test this out, since we're not going to be putting the neck back on, and we're not going to be putting strings on it or anything like that. So if you want to test out your wiring in a case like this, go plug it in and turn the volume and the tone all the way up. But what you want to do is tap on the pole pieces with something that's metal. And while you're doing that, you want to turn the volume and see if that turns the volume up and down. Do that with all the pole pieces. And then do the same thing with the tone control. And you'll be able to tell the difference in tone too as well. And so we already checked the resistance, so we know the pickups are good, and as long as that checks out, then we know our wiring is in good shape. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. For more stuff like this, give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the future.